X-Pac, 12360.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your hosts, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Welcome to X-Pac 126.
Keep it in. We're doing it live.
Welcome to X-Pac 12360. Everyone.
Good to be here.
Fucking hey, we're keeping that.
Yeah.
All right.
I do love the tone of a room when you're unsure if you're gonna keep the intro or not. You're just like, what? I don't know.
No, we're keeping this one.
Perfect.
Shout out to Stumptown Coffee.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah, Stumptown Nitro
That's power.
nitrogen infused cold brew.
Dude, that's gasoline right there. That's power.
Yeah. And when I'm out of this, I got a thing of organic instant coffee right there. I just dump in whatever I'm drinking.
Okay.
That's way to go.
Yeah, I use it. I even put it in like my protein shakes. I pour instant coffee in there for a little kick.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Yeah. And I'm
Who needs fiber when you have all that?
If I could carry a toilet with me everywhere I went, I would.
This is my commode.
There's people die in life, and goddamn, it just seems like a lot of the really good ones go right. And Luke Perry was like, I don't know anybody like. I didn't even know he was a huge wrestling fan until you remember the show where Cody worked with. It was at the Cow Palace. The first time wrestling had been back at the Cow Palace in years.
Last July.
Yeah, it was.
New Japan?
No, it was All Pro.
Okay.
It was. What do they call it? APW? The California, the San Francisco guys.
Yeah, the Cow Palace. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, so Luke Perry was there, and because his son was wrestling there, and he's doing great, by the way. But I learned that night what a huge fan Luke Perry was, and huge Dusty fan. Huge Dusty fan. I watched him talking to Cody, and just how like his eyes lit up talking about Dusty, and just I have a voicemail from him. I was gonna like pull it up and go, hey, listen, this is Luke, and he was leaving me a voicemail, but like, people, I'm sure people take my word for it. Rory Karp, who's become, I consider a good friend. When he comes to town, we get, we together or whatever. Rory, for anyone that's not familiar with Rory, he's been a guest on the show, and he did the Ric Flair 30 for 30 doc.
Genius.
And he's one of the best he's one of the best filmmakers out there when it comes to sports. Maybe the best ever, I think. And he's the one that set that up for Luke to come on the show. And Luke felt really bad. Like he was doing that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Manson, the Tarantino movie about Charles Manson.
Right.
Like he was in that, and he was doing all kinds of shit, and he still wanted to come on the show.
He's so incredibly. He was in Riverdale right now, and so supportive of his son Jack. I mean, Jack's a great, not only wrestler but great kid, and
Really good kid.
And Luke was so supportive of him. Man, my heart goes out to. I just hung out with Jack like a week and a half ago, and you just see,
and like okay, when David Arquette's getting almost killed in a death match, like it was Luke Perry that was the one, like, hey, come on, dragging him to the hospital.
Right.
Anyways, I reached out to Rory because Rory's the one that kind of connected us, and Rory's such a great guy. People and like people don't really know that guy; they only know his work. But he just said Luke was a huge wrestling fan. Not many people know he helped produce the Nature Boy 30 for 30. Wow. More importantly, he was an incredible father. He loved his kids so much. He was just an exceptional human being. That's from Rory Karp.
And in the entertainment world today, where it seems like everyone is getting found to be doing something, no, Luke Perry was really one of the good guys. And this is a guy who had a 30-year career.
Yeah.
And to be only 52 years old, I mean, man, I see stroke patients every day at my hospital, and most of the time you come back from it. To be 52 in incredible shape, it's so difficult.
I know that kind of stroke, though.
Yeah.
And because my grandmother had that one, and she had I don't want to go off into that about
It's
my
difficult.
grandmother, but she had a DNR, and they didn't honor it. And when she woke up from it, she was fucking pissed. Wow. Yeah, and she made them let her die. So, anyways, I didn't mean to go off onto that, but like that's, so, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't want to even speculate on what happened, with Luke, but it's just so fucking sad.
Hard to believe.
God damn.
As Johnny mentioned, he was on Riverdale, which, as you guys know, is one of the biggest shows right now on the CW. And, it's funny because I got to know him through Riverdale, not through 90210, but it was so crazy how I remember just seeing his character, and I was like, wow, he is so cute. And I remember thinking that, seeing him and really loving his character, because on the show, like, he was just like such a down-to-earth, like, really good father to Archie and all of that stuff.
That's him, though.
Yeah, and everything that I'm hearing is exactly what I got to see on the show. And as a fan of Riverdale, and I was reading, like, all the things that, Lily Reinhart and all the rest of the actors on the show were putting, and every one of them said the same thing. They were like, he was such a great mentor to the young cast, and it's just crazy. And Riverdale has paused production for right now until they figure out what they're gonna do with his character. And it's just crazy how, like, one moment someone's there, they're doing their work, they look perfectly fine, and then the next it's just like,
and
what?
when these people go, it's just this massive hole that can't be filled.
Yeah.
A lot of people go, and it's just like, like, nothing against them, but they didn't fucking really impact people's lives that much in a positive way. They impacted their own lives. Like, they didn't really, like, I mean, it's just different when it's somebody like that.
And it was so cool to see how supportive he was of Jack
Yeah.
and him chasing his dream.
Yes.
And, hopefully Jack can take that with him. And obviously he's doing great.
Totally.
So.
Yes. You never get over this type of thing, and this is going to be like, but like, I can see that kid, I mean, wanting to honor, his father's memory, even. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get all corny and sappy here and fucking,
Well, rest in peace. That's
And before we talked about King Kong Bundy, I don't think we mentioned this. The passing of comedian Brody Stevens. Did we talk about that last week?
We did not.
No, I wasn't here, but I'd listen. I don't think we did. Yeah.
And I think we should, like, there's a lot of people that might not even know who I'm talking about. But if you're a comedian, and a wrestler, like, he was a friend to wrestling.
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
I'll actually be posting a video later today. He was on a video. I was on an episode of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood back in 2012, a ringside segment with myself and Colt Cabana, because Colt was a huge fan, and I knew Brody, so we kind of made it happen to where Brody was sitting ringside, and I did a post-match interview with Colt, and then he called Brody over, and Brody literally did everything. That's one thing is, yes, he wasn't famous, but in the LA comedy community, there's no one
more famous than Brody Stevens.
No
one. I mean, I've never seen a comedian, and the last time I saw anything like this was when Ralphie passed, and before that, it wasn't since Neil Giraldo. I think of just how fucking hurt the community is over his passing, and I didn't know him very well, but like I went back, just actually 2 nights ago. One of the comedian friends in town, Felonious Monk. I don't know if you ever heard of Felonious, but he used to be on the nightly show, Larry Wilmore. Anyways, even like he was just devastated by it. Like, and I mean, comedians from all different parts of this, because there's different wings of comedy, right? Like, and they all are just devastated. And he was fucking brilliant. Like, he could go into the room, the hardest room in the world, he'll fucking crush.
I've actually been in one of the hardest rooms in the world he could have worked, which was in my lesser days, I did audience work here in Los Angeles, which it's a dirty secret that if they want an audience to stay in a room, it's usually easier to just pay them $20. Meaning it's more like 30% tourists, 70% actors who are getting paid $20 to watch a TV show. And he was very famously a warm-up comedian for those things.
Oh, God,
Yes.
yeah.
And like that was my first introduction to him at all, which is just like, God, this guy.
He's done that thousands of times.
Yeah, he was
actually.
Chelsea Handler. He
Yes.
was Chelsea Handler's guy for the entire run.
The entire run of Chelsea lately. I mean, and the thing about Brody, one of the reasons he was so well known in LA is he would do any kind of room, and comics loved him, and audiences sometimes didn't get him, and that made comics love him that much more. So Brody could be he had a Comedy Central show, and guess what? You'll see him at a random open mic the next night.
Yeah.
And him and Zach Galifianakis were very close, and Zach got him the show called Enjoy It, which ran for one season on Comedy Central 5 years ago. But what was brilliant about Brody is he was open about his battle, with being bipolar and depression, and Comedy Central billed his show as Comedy Central's first drama, because it really did follow Brody's journey. And I gotta believe how open he was helped a lot of people with depression and with being bipolar, and it really.
The sad part about this is, and I don't know if I'm talking out of school, but there was a situation, I'm not like, okay, I mean, just speak generally here. Like if somebody, you shouldn't just be allowed because somebody doesn't make a certain amount of money that they lose their fucking health care,
Yeah.
I mean, and then then you can't pay for your meds and like, when you have issues like that.
Well, I know he's open about the fact that he went back on Lexapro, and unfortunately, that's a really, really difficult thing to do. And like I said, I'm not going to speculate, but unfortunately, the switch.
Yeah,
And
we're not here to talk about policy, but I mean, it's just we got to do better.
We do.
We got to do better.
He's sorely
Us, the
Humanity,
people.
yes.
Yeah,
He's
Fuck.
sorely missed. I mean, there was no one like people say this all the time. There was no one like Brody Stevens in the LA comedy scene. There never will be. He has catchphrases that we all say all the time. There's actually a memorial show for him tonight at the Comedy Store that a lot of us are going to be at. And no one like him. Did love pro wrestling as well. And so
Yeah, so just if you're indulging us right now, indulge us even further and look up some Brody Stevens and be pleasantly surprised. Rest in peace, Brody.
absolutely.
And King Kong Bundy. Might as well while we're talking, because that was what I woke up to this morning. And it was weird because it wasn't like a big. We weren't like buddies or anything. Like, as a matter of fact, anything but. Like, I was critical of Bundy, like in his last run when he came through WWE, but man, like King Kong Bundy when I was a kid, it was just like, holy shit. I mean, okay, because my first memory of King Kong Bundy was on, TBS, and he was a member of Legion of Doom. With it was, Paul Ellering, obviously, and he had the Road Warriors, and he had Jake the Snake Roberts, and he had King Kong Bundy. And they might have had one other person, but it was mainly that. And I remember when Bundy turned babyface. It was over like a motherfucker as a babyface. I don't know if you remember any of that, but like he turned on Ellering, and he was going like, yeah, man, and it was just, he was so crazy because he was this big wide dude, but he didn't like he was way wider than he was like. It wasn't like he had this big, huge, humongous fucking gut that came out to here. Like, it was all just big, he's just a massive human being,
Just like a very big gentleman.
Yeah.
On his debut, they billed him as 6'3", 458 pounds for WWF.
Yeah. And you know what? That's probably accurate. That's probably not any kind of, it was about right. That's about how tall he was. Yeah.
And on his debut, I went back and watched it. He destroyed Mario Mancini, but he splashed him in the corner, then got the pin. Then after that, he landed an elbow drop, then made the ref count to 5.
Yes.
I mean, actually, he was doing that before WWF, but that became something he was known for.
Well,
a while.
the story is that was well, Bill Watts claims it was his idea. Jim Ross claims it was his idea. They were both in the room when the idea was
It's one of
given
their
to him.
ideas, if
Yeah.
not both.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, isn't that a funny story? So Bundy comes back to, you know, in the mid '90s when I'm there. I'm 1, 2, 3 kid, and Brett's champ, and they're bringing him in, and they're pushing him as a heel and trying to get him over. And you know, what was the first thing that you guys thought of when you think of King Kong Bundy?
To be honest, to me, yeah, I watched him a lot as a wrestler, and I had his LJN action figure for sure. But I think of how
You
great...
could knock somebody out cold with that too.
Yeah, they were
10 pounds each of hard rubber. But anyways,
My first thought is everything he did in pop culture. He was always so good. I mean, Married with Children, the Bundys were named after him, and everything he did, the Sports Center commercials, he delivered. Because he was what you thought a pro wrestler would
but
look
as
like.
far as like when I think of him in a match, like the first thing that comes to my mind is 5 count.
Yeah.
So, you know, Scott and I, you know, Scott Hall and I were like, oh, you know, because, you know, we remember Bundy. Like, Bundy was, you know, that's King Kong Bundy. Shit, you know? So we were like, hey, man, how come you're not doing the 5 thing? Like, come on. And so I remember it being Lowell. I think it was Lowell, Mass. And I think I might even been involved in the segment with him. It didn't go over too well either. But so he goes out there and he doesn't tell the ref, right? Like, oh, by the way, like count to 5. Like he doesn't smarten the ref up. He just goes out there and does it. And and he's counts to 3. And then Bundy looks at him and goes 5. And the ref just looks at him like, fuck off. But like it would have helped if you would have smartened the ref up because like, you know, I liked that. I thought that 5 count thing was great. So,
And like a 5 count coming from someone King Kong Bundy's size doesn't bury anyone.
no,
No, he's that big, he's that bad.
And so there was always this like, what the fuck's so crazy looking about King Kong Bundy? And when he shaved his eyebrows. I don't know if everybody knew that, but like that was like the thing that really, I don't know, it gave him that like, what was the one from the Addams Family?
Oh, the one
Fester.
with the...
Fester, yeah.
My thing was when I first saw, you know, in tapes, when I first saw King Kong Bundy, I remember, and I was obviously young when I saw them for the first time in tapes, I thought to myself, man, is that an overgrown kid? Because I used to think that, because he had like a baby face, but he was so big, and I just thought that he was like a really big overgrown kid at the time, and I just remember thinking that, and I always he's that person that you just always, there's certain guys in the industry that you just automatically know them and recognize them specifically based on their look or their character, you know. But this one for me was definitely the look.
Yeah.
Him and Bam Bam, both Jersey kids.
I was just gonna, that's kind of what I was gonna say. They were, I'm pretty sure that that Larry Sharp broke.
Yeah, he was
Bundy
Monster. Bundy was Monster Factory for sure. Yeah.
And oh fuck. Do you remember he did the Head Start commercial? It was like that computer. It was a computer.
I'm semi-familiar with the Head Start. There was a wrestler Head Start commercial.
Yeah.
Because he was heavily involved with IBM.
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah, marketing wise.
Something like that.
Because there was a full page ad about how IBM is so user intuitive that even King Kong Bundy can learn it in 23 minutes.
That's what it was. Yeah.
That they did the whole thing, that it was because they played up his look of like, oh, he looks like this Neanderthal guy, but IBM's.
And so
he's in the ring on the computer.
Yes.
And there's also he used to be called Boom Boom Bundy, and he had hair, and it was really crazy looking. It was really weird looking. Yeah. So it's sad. Oh, there's another story. We got another story. So we're in like up in some crazy like on a Europe tour, but it was like it would have been a spot show even for like I don't even mean by spot show, like not necessarily the main house show run, but like a spot show. You might not go back there for another year or two. You just make them happy, make them go home happy. Nothing, no shooting angles for the next time you return. That's what spot show is. So I mean, we were over in Germany and was like this. It was an obscure spot show and it was Brett versus Bundy, and Bundy didn't want to tap out into the sharpshooter. He was like, he's told Brett, he says, I know I've never given up my whole career. I really don't want to start now. He was like, he's our fucking champ.
How'd that turn out?
Yeah, they just got to it. Right. And Brett figured something out, But we put some Visine in his drinking water. Anyways, and I remember telling that story, and I think Bundy, he heard it, and then like he was kind of talking some shit, like, oh, fuck those guys, fuck 1, 2, 3 kid, what do you ever draw? Fuck Brett. It was kind of funny. Brett, he was this guy that was like, the big loudmouth in the bowling alley,
Sure.
like that's him. Like it was great, like and like. Even if you're on the wrong end of it, it was always like, it was funny to have him in the locker room, because he was always spouting off about something, one-liners here and there, and it's good shit.
I'm trying to think of it. Has King Kong Bundy ever actually submitted in his whole career?
Maybe not.
Sharpshooter to Brett while Brett was champion would have been the time. Spot show or not.
They could put on his tombstone.
Never submitted.
Never gave
Never
up.
tapped
Never
out.
tapped.
That's right. Well, rest in peace,
Rest
King
in
Kong
peace, King Kong Bundy.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, we want to get into some more news. We have an update on the reason why Arn Anderson was fired. He was fired from the company for letting Alicia Fox wrestle intoxicated. And the last that we heard was that she was actually offered to go to rehab. But apparently some people in the company didn't really know for sure if she did go to rehab or if she didn't go to rehab. And because she was absent for a few days or so, she went back on social media and did post something about being resilient, I think it was. And she hasn't, I believe, hasn't been wrestling since February 10th, I believe. So I don't know if you guys had any comments on that.
Well, who knows exactly, not making excuses at all, because there aren't any. But, Arn comes from the generation before me, okay? And even in my heyday, like, more than once I got in the ring drunk or fucked up at a WWE event, and it was out of the, some people did it every night, and.
Andre was famous for it.
And drink before you go to the ring. So, try to understand, like, and I get it, like, and I get the company's position and that, but try to understand, like, this is it's the throwback to the mentality that we all had, that was instilled in us, like, because like I said, even in my day after Arn's, that happened, I did it. On a house show. I remember one time, the whole fucking carload of us stopped off and bought a case of beer, like, in a big cooler, Arn style, had the cooler in the back. It was exactly like and we got to, it was South Padre, Texas, as a matter of fact. And I wrestled Road Dogg and got through the match just fine. Came to the back and just fucking threw up everywhere. But, it's not cool. It's not cool. It's just like, this is what, it's like, let's just get through this night. And, she probably wasn't that knackered, when I say knackered, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Fucked up. So I see how how that all happened. But I just wonder if there was something else, like, you have all these people they're bringing in, and you know the Shane Helms, the
Abyss,
the Sanjay, and
Davari.
you know, things like that, and when you're trying to free up some space around there, like if someone gives you like, you know, ammunition, fuck. So
do you think that maybe it was a little bit like, I don't know if you want to say brash is the right word, but maybe they shouldn't have fired him, or do you think that maybe
that's
it should
not
have
what
just
I'm
been like
saying
a
at
warning?
all. But I'm just saying that it wouldn't necessarily be head on the chopping block.
Right. So now,
Not that it's not a chopping event,
especially
but, you know,
now with WWE, how they want to be, they don't
Yeah.
want to have something like this happening
Yes.
out, or for people to find out that their talent is going out there and they're drunk or whatever.
Yes.
But now, on Alicia Fox's perspective, now we don't know for sure if she's gone to rehab or any of that. But now what
and
happens?
it's really like none of our business. I mean, it sort of is, but like because it's out, the news is out there now. But I mean, as far as where she is at the moment, or like people in the company, sources not knowing, well, it's not your fucking place to know, you know, unless she's your friend, and you know, even then, like there's. I mean, that's private. That's really private stuff. And if someone's never been through that, and they're just it's early on in them dealing with their substance issues, like all of this is really fucking scary. You know, it's scary. You don't know what you're expecting. If you're gonna go try to get help, you're not sure if you really need it. Like, you know, there's a lot. And we all want to know. We all want to know the scoop, right?
Well, we can hope.
And it's
that
okay that we knew, but like it's not. We're not entitled.
Yeah, we can hope that she's getting help, but beyond that, that's where it ends for us.
Yeah.
It's not our business to know if she is.
Yep.
I mean, WWE at this point, I think the story is so big that they're going to have to reveal whatever the conclusion is. But until there's a conclusion, they don't have to say anything.
All right.
And I'm concerned. Like, this is the problem. Like, you know how like in the past, it's always been okay. So and so's got the prescription pill or prescription drug problem. More and more, you're going to start seeing like the problems being more alcohol related. Now that like the culture is different there now, but you know, I mean, alcohol is alcohol, and it's like, you know,
It's legal, and so
it's
people are
not
still
just
gonna
legal,
indulge.
but it's, you know, social. It's accepted, and you know, and we don't fucking realize until we're already like, you know, just a couple of extra days of drinking can put you over that line to where, oh my God, I need a drink or I'm going to get sick. It's weird. It's very powerful.
Well, that's what I was wondering too, because I mean, obviously, this is the first I ever heard of Alicia Fox, you know, going into the ring intoxicated. So, like, from my perspective, I'm like, well, was it like a one-time thing? Does she have a problem? Do we know that? Like, we don't know, is what I'm saying. But I just think it's like, where do you find that line where it's like, okay, you need help? Is it the second you go into work because you're drunk, or is that like the line where you're like, okay, you need help now? Where is that line?
It's different. That line is different for everyone.
But that line, intervention-wise, is harder to find if Arn or other agents in Arn's position are covering for the talent.
Yeah.
And I think that's their stance currently, and why they're doing what they're doing is Arn thinks that this is okay, whereas they're saying we can help her sooner if we know the problem and can diagnose it and help and like try.
It's just a different mentality, and if we're going to work there, we have to not think that way anymore. Mm-hmm. I really believe that, you know, because it's really important that the wrestling culture, you know, doesn't go backwards and continues to move forward in the right direction as far as like the health of you know. Mm-hmm.
I think you would agree. This current generation really has learned from previous generations as far as living a healthier lifestyle, and
it sure seems that way.
Yeah. And so Alicia Fox, you know, we wish her the best. Hopefully.
She's a
sweetheart, total sweetheart.
She and she's still there, and she's like, she's still been able to stay out there and visible and, you know, do some pretty cool stuff. Like, you know, like she'll take whatever they give her and then she'll like that, you know, the stuff she's been doing lately, it's not like top of the card, like storylines, but you know, she's entertaining. She comes out there and she makes you notice her. And she was one that did not want to be a wrestler, that they went looking for her. They recruited her from outside of the industry, you know, and she's done great.
Yeah, it's been her a long time, and she utilizes every second she has on camera.
Yes.
She's one of those people that utilizes that every single second.
And if she's having problems and she's going through shit, we need to be supportive of her.
Absolutely.
And not, you know, nothing but. So, all right.
All right, well, moving on to more
And
lighter
also,
notes.
one more thing. Arn Anderson is going to be just fine. Just fine, because Arn Anderson has something that very few people have. And he's brilliant. And he's also amazing to have around. You know, when he's around, people are laughing. He's funny as shit. He's brilliant. When Arn's at his best, like very few people I can even think of you'd want around. Like, you know, I'm also seeing him not give a fuck either at WCW. But then again, it was easy to end up not giving a fuck. But so yeah, I just wanted to say Arn is, you know, through all this, like he's like everyone, even like I notice a lot of people in the company are really devastated over, you know, they're really hurt by him leaving the company.
Well, I was going
noticed
to add,
that.
he was respected by a lot of people that were very respected in the company, or are very respected in the company as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of buyers on the market right now, and he has something worth buying.
Indeed he does.
Yeah. All right.
All right, well, moving on to a more lighter note, AEW has announced that their following show will be Fight for the Fallen on July 13th at the Daly's Place Amphitheater in Jacksonville.
Yes.
All right. That's my birthday. Did I tell you guys that was my birthday?
It's your birthday on July 13th. Yeah. And they're going to have some proceeds going to victims of gun violence. Like you said, it's a beautiful thing. And
so what is this? The amphitheater? Is that what you said?
So it holds a capacity of 5,550 people. So it's going to be obviously a smaller show than their Double or Nothing Las Vegas show, but still a pretty good sized show. And it's in the Daly's Place Amphitheater.
Okay, so it's an outdoor show. I'm assuming amphitheater, right?
yeah.
So because the other building it used to be the War Memorial Coliseum in Jacksonville, but that was an indoor. Excuse me. Obviously, that was an indoor venue, and it still only held like 7. You know, that was like the southern arenas, like were like a Madison Square Garden or a Philadelphia Spectrum or a Boston Garden. You know, those are 20,000 seaters. Like that wasn't your. You know, you go down south and they're like 10,000 seat. Like that's a big one.
They
10,
build
12,000.
them for that. That it's 10,000 people.
Yeah, and that was like the Bayfront Center that my home arena, like in Florida, St. Pete, Florida, held 7,700, and that was a big ass arena in Florida when I was a kid. Like we got all the main concerts there, and like so that was, anyways, yada 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 yada. Blah, 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 blah. Here I am.
Either way, Jacksonville, July 13th.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also good that they've already announced like the second show because everybody was wondering like, oh, when is it going to happen? You know, people had suspicions, and now that they're starting to get the ball rolling, it's good that they have.
So
that
tell me
announcement.
more about the victims of gun violence.
Basically, they're getting a percentage of the gate portion. So whatever AEW makes at the gate, they're going to give a percentage of that to victims of gun violence. And this was originally announced at their first press conference.
Is it an actual charity, or are they just going to divvy it up to who they?
I assume it's going to go to an organization, but I don't think they announced the exact organization yet. Okay. But there were 2 people that were shot at a Madden tournament in Jacksonville last August.
Oh yeah.
So
yes, I remember that.
I think it might be related to that, perhaps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Huh. Any more AEW stuff you want to like?
I mean, it's great. This event's incredible. I'll be honest. I thought after Double or Nothing, our next big venture would be the TV, whenever TV begins. But I guess they're going to have the July 13th, maybe another one. The rumor is TV starting in October, but that's not official. So it's going to be a big year for pro wrestling, that's for sure.
If TV starts in October, we'll know pretty soon, like by June.
Yeah, probably.
Because especially if it's a network the size that everyone's rumoring, it would be included in upfronts. So we're probably not going to know until the upfronts for whatever network has it.
Oh, you know what? Like, this is just kind of off subject a little bit, except for the fact that it's the subject of wrestling. I just saw that Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's going to be on in Memphis coming up.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know all the details, but we have two wrestlers themselves.
Yeah, Dustin and I think it's his girlfriend, maybe.
Yeah, Maria Starr. They're going to be technically hosting it. So whereas on Championship Wrestling, you'll see us kick things off. Instead, it's going to be them in studio kicking things off. And it's essentially going to be, and we're hoping to bring it to other cities. But Memphis is going to be kicking things off, I believe, the first weekend in April.
Yeah, I saw that, and I just wanted to mention it because it's noteworthy.
Very exciting. Good stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, another noteworthy thing is Torrie Wilson is joining the 2019 Hall of Fame class with DX and the Honky Tonk Man.
All right. And I think Brutus Beefcake, right?
He hasn't been officially announced by WWE yet, has he?
It got
I
leaked.
thought he was just rumored.
Yeah, it got leaked over the weekend.
Oh.
It was rumored over the weekend. We don't know for sure. I jokingly said I thought it would be next year when they're in Tampa Bay, but that's
Maybe.
yeah. I don't think it would sure. Like he belongs in there when
Of course.
the year they put him is the year they put him.
Of course he does. And, you know, hey, first of all, congrats to Torrie.
Yes.
You know, Torrie Wilson, she was, incredibly popular. And also, like, incredibly popular with, like, all the talent. Like, I mean, everyone loves her, like, behind the scenes. And she's a great lady. And, she does other things. I'm not sure what she's doing now, but like she does good things.
She does like fitness.
Body. She does like body positive image.
I believe she
stuff.
has like a fitness. She's like a fitness regimen through. It's not through YouTube, but it's through like maybe her own app or something similar.
Yeah.
That she's got a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. So I'm always happy like when somebody gets, good for her. Good for her. And Donna, we talked about Honky Tonk Man already.
Last week.
Yeah, good for him. Although I did see that video of him just ripping Hall of Fame to shreds. I was laughing so hard.
I feel like whoever
because it's totally a honky tonk, man. It's like, you can't really get mad. Like you look at that and you just gotta laugh.
I feel like whoever owned that video had a Google News alert set the second they filmed it. Of just like, we're gonna shoot this video about Honky Tonk Man in the Hall of Fame. We're gonna get the traction when it happens, and then I'm gonna set a Google alert for when he's in the Hall of Fame. We're going to get a second traction.
And it's got to be fun for you every week when they announce a new person entering because you'll be standing next to these people, at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Loads of fun.
Yeah.
I'm, no. So, okay, good.
Has Lula been suited for her tux yet?
No.
All right.
She's gotten really heavy.
I saw that, but I
Holy
thought it was
shit.
just her fur.
Well, partly, but God. I'm like, I've cut her food in half, and like, it's just like,
She's famous now. The camera adds 15 pounds.
It's the floor popcorn.
I thought it was
here at
10
AfterBuzz.
pounds.
I don't know.
it's I don't want to get all off in the.
That Lula tangent.
Yes, because I could no matter what, I could go off onto a tangent about it. No matter what it is, you guys always gotta be ready for me to veer off and. Yeah.
Well, she's got 1 month to get TV ready. So,
Yeah.
we have faith in her.
Looking forward to it.
Moving on, Jim Cornette has joined MLW as a color commentator. Some things that I want to add about this is that the guys at Impact have had a lot of good things to say about him, saying that he always makes ideas a lot better. He's been following the product, and even if something is not his cup of tea, it doesn't matter. He knows how to put the product over and, follows the modern style as well and tries to learn from it. So personally, good call for MLW.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. And the show immediately much better to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, because Yeah, he's just. I mean, there's just really not many people out there. I can't even say there's not many people because there aren't any people that know, like, that can do the things that Jim does and that he has experience doing.
I don't want to say instant credibility, but his voice and the way he sees the business and then would prism an angle through his mind would give such credibility to anything you write and produce and have him talk about.
Well, MLW already has a great commentary team with, Shivani and Bacchini and Stryker. They're all just incredible. But what I love about Cornette, and obviously he has his detractors, and we get that, but if you listen to NWA 70 and you hadn't heard Cornette on the microphone in a while, we were all reminded, God damn, is he good as a color commentator.
Yeah.
I mean, he's throwing stuff out there and catchphrases and analogies where I'm just like, man, this is really creative, and it was fun to listen to.
It's almost like, how Mauro Ranallo,
Sure.
like he has that ability to, it's like a photographic memory where he can just pull shit out of wherever it's stored in his brain, like just like that, I mean,
Mauro and his hip hop references,
or any reference of anything that he's ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever in his life, he can just pull it out of the back of his brain and reference it in a wrestling match or a MMA or a boxing match, and like not to the extent that Mauro does, but Jim is kind of like that. Like he's just so full of knowledge, and and for somebody that wasn't a wrestler. And I mean, mind you, he's had matches and that, but they were all gimmick matches. It wasn't like he knows things, and he knows how to explain things, and that you don't see, from very many people that weren't actually the wrestler, and it's impressive.
Yeah, and good for
Really
MLW,
impressive.
man.
Really good, and MLW, their show. There's so many good things about the show, but like the one thing like I wasn't a fan of a few months back was the look of the show because I don't know, it was the venue.
Like
I wasn't
dark.
Yeah, that
Can't
place
hear,
they
see
were
the
doing
people.
it in Florida.
Yeah.
Now then they did their TV from Philly.
I think they shot some TV in Philly. I believe.
From the arena, from the ECW arena. Loved it. Looked great. And the stuff that I just saw from Chicago looked good on TV too. I think that the TV show has they've upped their game quite a bit in the past several months. I've been keeping an eye on them.
They have a fantastic roster, and by adding Cornette, obviously people have busy schedules. Shivani's busy, Stryker's busy, so that way, in case someone can't make a taping, guess what? You have someone to fill out the commentary team. So, wow, it's an impressive squad they have, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have to go to break but we do have more news coming up later on.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Be right back. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, and a little rearrange the furniture, but that's not quite
Musical
the
chairs. We play musical
chairs. Johnny's not here for this segment, and Steve Kaufman is up here at the big kids table.
I made it.
All right.
Got the call up.
So where were we?
We're going to go ahead and continue with some more wrestling news. And this one was surprised Twitter a little bit. There was a lot of people that were like, what? But here we go. Dana Warrior was added to WWE Creative as a consultant to offer a female perspective to the writing team. So that's new. And then also, it's been reported that Betsy Calso is the new writer for the moment for the women's division on SmackDown Live.
Yeah.
Apparently, she's been a part of it for 8 months and has been doing a good job. So now she's the main person for the women's division.
Okay, and she has a background. She's not just a writer; she's an actor.
She wrote for Disney. Is one of the things that I saw.
I think she was on that '70s show. Is that true or no?
Well. I'm watching that 70s show right now. She basically what I was talking about earlier was that Michael Calso has a baby and the baby's name is Betsy Calso. That was it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
In name only. I think it's good.
from what I've heard of those the writers' rooms in most of television, but especially in the wrestling world, have been very primarily men. So that
Absolutely.
So that for women to be involved at all is a very, very good stretch. I'm sure Dana Warrior strikes me as a very smart lady who would be an asset to whatever she does with the WWE. We don't know her input yet.
Look, it's a consultant job. People get those kind of gigs, and it's just like sometimes it's just like you don't even consult them. So it's like people are maybe thinking that she's going to be adding her 2 cents into the recipe or however you want to put it, but like not necessarily. And I don't know. I wouldn't see a problem with that.
I think people were mostly shocked just because they're like, oh, I didn't realize Dana Warrior had a background in creative, or she had a background in writing, or a background in blah, 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 blah. I think that's why people came from that. But once you actually, like right now that you just explained, like, okay, she's going to have a consultant role, it's more of, maybe yay or nay in certain things that revolve around females and that sort of thing. So, I think with that, people without knowing that, that's why people were quick to jump in that. Because I mean, if you would have said, "Hey, Dana Warrior is having a writing position with the writing team," you'd be like, "Wait, I didn't know she had this background or whatever." But
she doesn't.
Exactly. So that's I think what caused the whole
And no one was going, "Oh, we really need some more creative, input on this. We're really, let's get Dana." It's not like that, and that's not a knock to anyone. You know. It's just, hey, she's a loyal, like, she does a lot of good work and that, and like here's a little. It's not really this might be apples and oranges, not or whatever, but how when someone gets like an honorary degree from doctorate degree from a college, they're not really a doctor. Yeah. You're not going to let them come.
In spite of what Vince McMahon will have you call him, depending on the day.
So,
but yeah, it reminds me a lot of. I have to parse my words carefully. When Vicky Guerrero had a job in the WWE for a very long time post Eddie, and it wasn't that she didn't earn it or deserve it, but
she showed over her
over time.
Yeah, that she totally deserved and was a great.
But you're saying like the introduction of her.
Her introduction to that company, the reason she was in those rooms was because she was with Eddie, and that she was with Eddie, and that Eddie passed very suddenly. So it was the idea of let's take care of her, and then she became an asset that they started utilizing more and more. And I see this with Dana as well. Like, let's try her in this room. Maybe this is something she'd be great at. Let's make her a consultant.
I don't even think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's that much put into this. It was just that, hey, like she's a part of the family. And we want to keep her part of the family. And okay, here's a title.
Yeah, here's a thing.
Yeah, you're part of the family. Like here's
the thing. You're involved.
Yeah,
you're here.
And
no
more has to be read into it. Like good for her, good for WWE. Like save your outrage. There's plenty of other things to be outraged about. All right.
All right. Well, I don't know.
Like this.
I was going to say, I don't know if people want to be outraged about this. You can. So right before we went on the air, Enzo tweeted, he basically confused King Kong Bundy for George the Animal Steele, putting the wrong photo. And then, Sean, you pointed this out. It took me a second to catch it.
No one else even picked up on the fucking hashtag.
He wrote, "Rip
That's
King
the
Kong
best
Buddy."
part of it. Yeah. R.I.P. King Kong Buddy. Not Bundy, Buddy. Holy shit.
Well, he actually went back on afterwards on Twitter, and I saw him saying that he went on Google, and that he said something about like, "Oh, I'm upset that when I go on Google, people are talking about me tweeting this, and you're just using clickbait, when in reality they should be talking about this man that passed away." But then I was like, "But you confused the guy." So
yeah, which guy is that, by the way?
King Kong Buddy, right?
Yeah.
I was like, you can't blame Google now.
Also, let me give this big, heartfelt fucking, and like talk about memories of me and my grandpa, and then it's the wrong guy. King
that
Kong
guy.
Buddy.
Also, it's pretty clear he's never worked an independent show in the New York area, or he would know exactly who King Kong Bundy was because he'd be there.
Yeah, and And they're from the same area. Come on, they're both Jersey guys. Fuck. I want to say I'm pretty sure that bless his heart, bless his heart. I'm pretty sure he was the one that didn't know who Harley Race was.
That feels right.
At FCW. Or NXT, whatever.
I think he was in FCW before it was in it.
Yeah, he was.
Him and
But
Colin were
I'm
down
just saying,
there,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, where and when, but like in Florida.
Yes.
But it's kind of like your go-to, though. Like, let's say someone's talking about something and you're not really sure. Just don't say anything, or look it up afterwards, or maybe double-check your facts.
There's never been a person that was so unsure yet so sure of themselves ever in the history of humanity, probably.
Yeah, Denise, I was going to say, if you're talking about if you shouldn't say something, I'm making sure that we're talking about the same person. We're talking about Enzo, right?
But you know what? Say what you want about Enzo, but at least we're here. We're laughing. I guess he made us laugh,
Yeah, bless his heart. Come on, this isn't a let's all crucify, because there's real things to crucify Enzo over. This is just like, oh, come on, this is funny.
This
It's funny as fuck to me, actually.
And he actually re-edited the tweet where he got the name wrong, and then that if you were to read it now, it actually seems like a fairly heartfelt by the numbers tribute to King Kong Bundy.
Fightful Wrestling tweeted something about this tweet wasn't a very good tweet, or I'm like hell, it's one of the best ones he's ever done. This is a classic. I mean, very few things really make me laugh that much anymore. And so I appreciate Enzo. Thank you.
Yeah,
actually,
on a day like today, we need
yes.
We need to chuckle at Enzo and what he's up to.
Yeah. So it's not something okay, let's all crucify Enzo. It's just but we will have a laugh at your expense, Enzo. Thank you.
That sucks. Just glad I'm not in his shoes, honestly. Because how do you go back from that? That's embarrassing.
Yeah, but from his point of view,
Yeah.
his shoes are the greatest shoes of all time.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to be in them?
True. There you go. All right. Well, going back to Twitter during the weekend, there was a whole Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch were going back and forth on Twitter for this very long thread where they just kind of kept burying each other, one another. And it got pretty good where a lot of people really got into this and a lot of people really, I would just say, bought into this. And we're really starting to get hyped over Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. Maybe some people that maybe haven't been following the storyline, or I don't know, just a lot of people were talking about it.
Well, you can buy into it because they're buying into it.
Right.
It seems legitimate.
Yeah. And that's, these types of things have happened. Now it's being done over, social media. But I mean, legit things were being thrown around at each other, long before this. They're just doing it on social media. It's out there, and it's done on a little bit more out there in everyone's face, and I was talking to Sam Roberts. I was on Sam's show this past week, and this the way they're using social media and this it's in the way the reactions from the wrestling from the universe, they're buying into it, and that's good. But I don't think that we understand we're being worked. It's a new way of this is the new way of getting heel heat, and it's okay. I'm probably what am I doing here? Even explaining all this
No, but it's worth noting that you truly think that they're both working, and that
it's not even that, because in wrestling history, a lot of the really good storylines there was real feelings involved. So that doesn't mean what I'm saying doesn't mean that that's not legit going on. They're probably really pissed and going at each other, but then you pull it back for the sake of we all have one thing in common we have to make happen. So when we go out there in front of the people, we leave that shit in the back. So you don't go in the through the curtain and take liberties. Like, I mean, mind you, you can bring like some of those feelings out there, and like, the chop might be a little harder than normal, or because you're just bringing more intensity with it, And I saw that out there with her in the ring with her, like, she was punishing Becky.
And the beatdown for Raw.
Taking her time, like those shots to the ribs and the body shots. Those didn't look that great, but they hurt like shit. So.
Well, and why not utilize social media? I mean, it's obvious, you go on there, we go on there to see what our favorite celebrities are tweeting. And, if I'm watching Raw every week and, I'm a big Becky Lynch fan, like, I want to see her tweet and be mad at Ronda if I'm following the storyline so closely on television. Sure. Why not see it on social media? Like, you go on and instead she's like, oh, I had a happy day. It's stars and rainbows. No.
And so, people got really uncomfortable when Ronda tweeted back at her and was like talking about fake this or fake whatever. People I get it, but that's the social media part. Like, I don't have a huge problem with that. It's when you're watching Raw and they bring it up on fucking Raw. Like, who knows a good idea to have Colin Jost tell Ron Strowman her wrestling was all fake. Like, that's just no.
I think
I just went, ugh, what the fuck?
Like, they were trying to be like, it was written as maybe like the cool guys are coming in and blah, blah, blah. I feel like maybe that was the mindset behind it.
It was a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
I'll defend it. I thought it was because as the vignettes were presented, Michael Che was the person who actually did the research and knew what he was walking into, and Colin Jost had no idea. He wore a New York Mets hat in Philadelphia to booze, and there were backstage vignettes. And then he kept walking around and just belittling everyone in the locker room.
There's no defending it, Steve. I got to tell you. Like, you don't say this shit's all fake in the middle of the fucking show. You don't do it. Ever. There's no fucking defending it. I'm sorry. None. Everyone knows it's a work. You don't fucking say it in the middle of the show. God, that pissed me the fuck off when I saw that. And I'm not one of these guys. I'm not one of these guys that thinks everything's got to be like it used to be or whatever, but you don't fucking do that in the middle of the show. And I mean, there's enough other shit about wrestling nowadays that makes you realize it's not on the up and up. You don't have to fucking say it. That pissed me off. I'm not sorry. Like, that I'm mad right now about that. It's bullshit.
Well, it's like if you're watching a movie and you're really into it, and then all of a sudden the person turns around. It's like, hey,
this is just a movie, by the way.
It's just a movie. Yeah, exactly. It kind of it takes the viewer out of it. So now imagine, you're a fan and you've watched for years, and you understand certain things, but they're not spoken about, and you're watching it, and you're for example, again, the Becky Ronda thing. You're following this feud. You're invested. They did such a good job, both of these women, of getting you invested. And then have a little moment for someone to take you out of it. It kind of ruins a lot of what they've done.
It was just like, really, we could have. There's a million other ways that you guys could have gotten that done, and nothing even got done. Like, they come back and he's still holding him up in the air, and he lets him down. He doesn't even sell it after he fucking lets him out. Like, lets him down off and holding him up by the throat. Oh, come on. Like, he should have been fucking passed out. I'm on a rant here. So.
No, that's
well, they are going to be back for WrestleMania,
Sorry,
so
guys.
I don't know what's going to happen then. I mean, maybe there'll be more.
No, it's fine. It'll be fine. Like, it was just, there were so many things. Anyways, I don't know. I don't want to get all.
Well, do you want to go back and talk about Ronda and Becky and Ronda turning heel and getting the belt back? As we remember from last week's Raw.
I understand what you're talking about, Steve.
It's character point of view sketch comedy. Those two guys come from the sketch comedy world. I didn't look at it from the wrestling side. I looked at it from the sketch comedy side, which WWE is not very well known for. So for them to actually have sketch comics come in and write a sketch with characters and point of view and stakes, and I do agree that the word fake is a bit of a trigger in that universe that they probably like they didn't need to say it to get the same point across.
Wrestling fans that are watching already have to hear from people that don't like wrestling that know them. Oh, you like that shit? It's fake. You don't need to be fucking telling people that.
I do think
right on the show while they're watching it.
I do think we're doing enough business with Colin Jost and Michael Che moving toward WrestleMania that eventually.
No, it's not the end of the world, but it was just totally unnecessary.
And the story is that they're gonna turn Colin Jost to wherever Michael Che is. That's the character point of view that they're pitching from start to finish.
Where they're going with that?
That's what it looks like they're going. That he's going to respect and love what he's seeing now. That he ultimately didn't understand or research.
I don't think we need another fucking layer to like. I mean, really, I don't know. There's a lot of shit going on the show. Like, I don't know if I can follow that.
Yeah, with how long WrestleMania is looking to be this year, adding a side story to the special correspondence, they don't need it. Then it's just going to be overstuffed.
You're right. Well, they didn't need to be introduced on Raw at all. They're their own people. Right. They could just show up on Raw.
Because like because when I see them on like Weekend Update and all that shit, like they kill it. Mm. They fucking kill it. They're great. Like, and then okay, they're gonna be on Raw. It's like, dude, it was. I just expected this, like, because you expect. There are expectations that come with. Okay, we're gonna have the Weekend Update guys from Saturday Night Live on Raw. I'm expecting a laugh.
I was expecting a Weekend Update style segment in the WWE universe, which they have the writing talent to do.
And I can imagine that there was also some sort of an expectation from when Jon Stewart came back and did some stuff where they were trying to possibly replicate some of that by using a little bit of that late night comedy magic, but it fell kind of flat.
It did. That's too bad. I was a little bummed out by like a lot of the things on the show. Felt like maybe they were last minute, like done. Hey, how did Aleister Black and Ricochet do with
the revivals?
Yeah, last night.
They looked good.
What was I missed it.
Oh, Rude and Gable interfered.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And beat down on the Revival specifically, so the Revival would win by disqualification. Oh. And then so they were like, okay, here you guys go. Here, just shut up, take these tag belts, and then they're just gonna.
Denise, you sounded like you were about to say something. What?
No. That was it. I was just gonna say the Revival and that they did fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gonna be my big 2 cents on that. But no, I mean, I know that they're obviously working towards this with they've been doing it every single week. So I'm sort of looking forward to seeing everybody have a spot on the show, to tell you the truth. That's pretty much my on that.
Did you know, like, do you think, I didn't think the crowd was, like, that's Philly's a tough crowd. Man, they always are.
They really always are. And I think last night's Raw felt kind of sort of booked for a Philadelphia crowd. Except for when we're talking about tag team wrestling, Heavy Machinery pretty much running a gauntlet on the remaining tag teams that weren't being used that night. Seems very interesting to me.
Just even like the way they beat B-Team.
Yeah.
Like that was just like the first cover of the match was the 1, 2, 3 on the B-Team.
And then the Ascension, they struggled a little with the Ascension. And then I forget the third team, but then the third team, we obviously got the Worm. And I know where they're going with Otis and the Worm because when they showed the replay of the Worm, they cut away before he actually did the elbow drop. Like it's not about the move or the pin with that Worm. It's just about that big man doing a worm on Raw. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about Heavy Machinery.
Yeah. I don't really have any what are you concerned?
I'm ultimately concerned. I'm concerned. I've been concerned for main roster tag team wrestling for a very long time that they don't seem to value it enough to do enough with it to.
And what it looks like to me is they still don't, but they just want to shut everyone up.
What are you talking about? We had 2 different segments. All the tag teams were out here. I don't know.
Yeah, just wasn't a lot of thought put into it. It was, yeah. All right.
Well, one of the things that we still haven't talked about that we were going to talk about was Ronda Rousey turning heel.
Yes.
Okay, so last week on Raw, she technically just left the bout there because she was pissed that Stephanie wouldn't do her match against Becky Lynch. Come back this week, and Stephanie announces that Charlotte and Becky are going to have a match on Fastlane for the bout because Ronda left it in the ring. But then Ronda comes out and says, basically, give me my bout back. Like, I want it back.
I changed my mind. Let me
There
get that back.
So that was kind of a little bit of a disconnection, but then afterwards Stephanie said, okay, fine, well, we're still going to do Charlotte versus Becky at Fastlane, but this time Becky, if she loses, she's not in her WrestleMania match, and if she wins, she's in her WrestleMania match. Does that make you happy, Ronda? Then Ronda goes crazy and beats up Becky Lynch and all of that stuff. So
yeah, I like that part.
Yeah, the Ronda beatdown.
Yeah.
Not so much the Ronda words.
they weren't. I didn't think compared to what we had. I think was it last week when she had her confrontation with Stephanie. I
Much
thought she
better.
was stumbling and going over her lines.
Yeah.
This time she wasn't. Like I thought she came through pretty clear. I think.
I guess she had less but she had less coherent things to say.
She did. She did.
Last week I laid this title down, which in wrestling parlance means I vacated it, but now I want it back. So I don't know. Starting from last week, it felt like a really awkward corner to be booked in, especially a week before pay-per-view.
And so instead of trying to figure out a better way of doing it, they just make her look dumb.
Yeah. Like, but
I know I said this last week, but
Stephanie
you wrote that for them or for her anyways.
And it makes Stephanie look dumb and like a weak authority figure as well. That she's just going to give the belt back because Ronda wants to have the belt back. That I think it would have been a stronger position knowing what you had, where you were, that she said, no, I made this match for the women's championship, but you never lost the women's championship, so you're number one contender. And then you get to hold up the women's championship at Fastlane, and that feels like a cleaner way to get to a three-way match than what they're doing.
Or save the decision, at least like not commit to it.
Yeah.
To either way. Like
the title's held up. These two are fighting.
Like
you never lost it. You all have a claim to it.
After Fastlane, they could still either go for, 1-on-1 or three-way or So.
I mean, they're gonna get there. All three competitors will have a claim to the championship. I feel like if Becky wins the Royal Rumble, I don't know why she should have to win again. And that'll be the logical argument from now till Mania that everyone's going to make.
I think so. As far as her Ronda turning heel, I think maybe she's just catching up with the fan base.
You think it just feels like a little bit more natural, though, because, since everybody's obviously been favoring Becky, it's just more like a natural...
and it's real.
Oh, sorry.
And it's real. And it's real. And she should be hurt. Ronda should be hurt. Ronda believes in everything she's saying. And she should feel hurt. Like, that this is her hometown. This is L.A. And they've booed the shit out of her. Her own hometown. That hurts.
Yeah. And
we don't forget those things. And we could carry those into the, so she's jilted.
Yeah.
She's a human being.
Yeah.
And I like, yeah. I mean, I know it'd been just fine if they didn't, officially turn her heel, but that was fine. That was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
I think it's because we also didn't expect for her to continue the beatdown on Becky, even afterwards, and I think that added to it, because it's nah, I don't care that the show's over. I'm still going to keep beating her up because I'm legit pissed. And that
and
makes
I'm just
it better.
And just toying with her. Yeah. Yeah. And just those fucking shots to the body. Becky's feeling those. Yeah, they weren't like I was saying. Did I already say that? They look.
Yeah, you mentioned that they were.
Yeah. Those things. They're not they don't stand out like a spin kick or whatever to the head, but kick me in the head all day long before you hit me with those rib shots. Anyway, I'm just babbling here, folks. I'm just rambling on right now.
And then just for next week's Raw, we do have, they announced that there's going to be a Triple H face-to-face with Batista segment on Raw next week. So that should be good. I mean, I'm looking forward to see them go face-to-face, obviously, especially after the whole Ric Flair beatdown last week on Raw. So that's going to be pretty hot. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. what do you think? That's it, right? Are we
That's
done?
it.
We've covered
we
it.
covered the main things on Raw. That was the main gist of it.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where they go with the Batista Hunter storyline.
Yeah,
How many more weeks
Just
to
watch.
WrestleMania?
You watch.
Four?
Okay. Watch them. Like, okay, because the last time what happened? Watch them like cheer Dave this time. that would be just like wrestling.
that would have. I feel like it's almost intentional that they were in Philadelphia and they didn't. They didn't bring Dave out there.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give Philadelphia a chance to hijack their story. That next week, I think Triple H did a very good job of getting everything over.
Yes.
Getting everything over with this, and I think it's going to be WrestleMania as a sizzle and a steak. Then this will be a very sizzle match that'll bring people into WrestleMania because they know who Batista is, they know who Triple H is.
Yeah. And they have real stuff to work off of there.
Yeah.
Plenty. So, all right. Well, so hey Marcus,
Yes, sir.
what do you have going on?
Right now, I'm working on a couple of projects. There's a Twitch series I'm working on called Artificial that's coming back this week. I want everybody to check it out, twitch.tv/artificialnext. And then I've got my wrestling podcast with Bill Handstock and Brandon Taylor, known as Robert Baines right now at the United Wrestling Network. We are the Wrestling Professionals on Twitter at the WrestlePros, and you can follow me at Mark Donica. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Marcus. What
All
about
right.
you?
Before I
What
talk
about
about
you,
myself,
Denise?
wait. Before I talk about myself, I gotta give a word out for Johnny. So Johnny said that Rikishi and him are gonna be on tour starting. The first 2 shows start in less than 2 weeks, and you can find out more information about that at Jay Quasto on his Twitter account. So make sure to check that out and support Johnny. And then also for our show at X-Pac 12360 show on Twitter, make sure to follow that. We do have a recurring contest right now. We have the Luchaverse has essentially invaded X-Pac 12360, and every single week we are doing a giveaway. Right now we are on week 2, which you guys can still enter, so make sure to enter. You guys can find that on our Twitter account, and we have 2 more weeks to go, 2 more sets of prizes to come. And then for myself, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at _Denise Salcedo, and youtube.com/Denise Salcedo.
I'm Steve Kaufman. You can find me on Twitter almost exclusively at Steve Kaufman. That is KAUFMANN. I'm involved in many of your favorite YouTube pages, including this one, youtube.com/XPac. And if I tweet the link, chances are I'm involved. So support them, support me.
Yeah. Support Steve. Support Denise. Support Johnny. Support Rikishi. Let's see. Who else? Support wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Support some indie wrestling. And, and support WWE too. 'Cause, anyways. Hey, thank you everyone for continuing to tune in every week here. It means a lot to me, and no matter what's going on in the week, like no matter how my week is going, this helps. If I'm having a shitty week, like I always know, like this is a bright spot in my week, and so I'm grateful for this and for all of you, and for you and you, Denise and Steve and Marcus. And everyone here at AfterBuzz TV, and I guess, all right, you can find. Did you already give them all my?
No, you haven't done yours yet, and Lula's. So you want to do yours
at
and
the
Lula's.
Real X-Pac on Twitter, at Real X-Pac on Instagram. Lou's Instagram is It's Baby Lula, and we're gonna go now, and we'll be back next week, right here, from the beautiful AfterBuzz TV studios in North Hollywood, California. Goodbye, everybody.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac, and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.